Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Sandbox, see kind of what's going on there, of course, and help you understand what is the deal, obviously. Should we buy the bottom here? Is the bottom in? What's going on, right? I get that question a lot, so I figured I'd cover this here with you. And just so you know, I'm not a financial advisor. I truly do love teaching people how to trade, and my goal is to help you become a better trader, right? That's the whole premise here, essentially, and I've been trading for over 15 years. And I just love teaching people how to trade. This is my day job. I do it every day for a living, so I can assure you it's very realistic. That being said, at this point in time, looking at Sandbox here, I want you to understand that we may or may not be at the bottom. And what I mean by that, and we'll clarify here in a moment, is just a simple fact that the 200-day SMA is working its way up, right? It's going to potentially work as a support level. So the likelihood of that holding is very high. I think that's a good sign, right? 200-day SMA has always worked as a very strong support level. So it's finally averaged out. Like Sandbox has literally had enough time at this price point to effectively be able to have that average work its way up. Now, it'd be nicer if we were much higher than that, but it's also nice that the price is close to that, considering the fact that, last 200 days of trading, this is what the average price should be, right? Which is right around $2.57 as a rough estimate. Therefore, the price being right around 330, it's nice to know that if the price were to decrease, we should have a strong support level right at about 257 to bounce off of that 200-day SMA. So great news there in that sense, okay? So we want to celebrate that in a way because not a lot of prices or not a lot of coins are even close to their 200-day SMA, and they're still free falling. Not to say the Sandbox won't break that support level, but it's going to likely hold as a strong support if Bitcoin loses its bottom and starts trending closer to 33,000. Right? So all in all, not in bad shape. Now keep in mind, if Bitcoin does lose 33,000, starts trending closer to 29, we could very well see a much lower price point from Sandbox. So just be aware of that. That's why you always want to pay attention to Bitcoin. But generally speaking, at this point, I would say that's a very, very positive indication. Now moving on as well, another good positive is we're back up over the 30 on the RSI, which is notoriously a resistance level if the price stays below. Now, obviously, it broke above with today's trading data, so keep that in mind as well. This one-day candlestick hasn't officially closed yet, but pending we have a nice close on the candlestick here, essentially above this resistance at about $3.13, we'll be just fine to see the RSI effectively stay above 30 and use that as a potential bounce. So 30 on the RSI is usually a good sign, good indication of buying. I wouldn't say buying the dip, but you want to consider buying when the price is closer to 30 on the RSI, because the likelihood of it coming back up is fairly high. Once again, because we have a key level support underneath at the 200, right? So there's some important stuff to understand. You don't just arbitrarily jump in when you see an RSI under 30, but it's a good sign that it's back up above 30. That's a very good sign. You want to be on the right side of the tracks. And once the price breaks above a specific key level, like 30 or 50 on the RSI, then you know specifically that you're on the right side of the scale, right? So that's really good. We also have a potential MACD convergence occurring here as well with a shift in momentum to the upside from Sandbox. So a lot of good stuff on the one-day chart. I really, truly do like that. I like the fact that we're back up above the 50-day SMA, albeit a very short amount of time, under 8 hours. That's a good sign here. If we can get the price to consolidate above that support level and continue upwards, we'll be in really good shape. Okay, so Sand is looking good in that regard. I think that's a fantastic indicator. And, truth be told, we're not above the 200-day SMA yet, but that's perfectly fine. I'll take the 50. 50, in fact, is probably a more relevant key indicator of being on the right side. Because if you look at this here previously, yes, it went back above and stayed above for some time, but Bitcoin was bleeding out at that time, right? That's what we got to be mindful here. Just because we're back up with the 50 doesn't mean we're specifically, okay, green light, good to go. I'm going to go long with no short, with no stop loss. Terrible idea, okay? You want to have a stop loss in place with most of your trades right now, just based on the way that the market is moving. And you want to understand that, Bitcoin, bless his heart, is causing a ripple in a lot of different markets. And Sandbox is no exception. So just bear in mind that this is not a foolproof scenario, but it helps, okay? It helps in the short term or the midterm here, kind of shifting that momentum from bearish to bullish, so to speak, on the macro, right? That's what the good thing is about the 4-hour chart. It helps you understand that transition from 1 hour to 1 day, if you will. Helps you get that momentum shift, if you will, okay? And we're shifting from bearish to bullish on the macro for Sandbox for the moment, and that's a good sign, okay? So that could imply that the bottom is potentially in for Sandbox, right? Again, pending Bitcoin doesn't do anything obnoxious and just slow. If we get a slow bleed from Bitcoin, I'd take that just fine over a significant decrease, right? I think, and I think you will find that too. And if you haven't checked out my Bitcoin video I just rolled out with that a moment ago, check that out as well so you can kind of get an understanding of what's going on in the market, because that's a really important indication. Regardless, I'm sorry, I went off the tracks there. Looking at what the RSI on the 4 hour, we are above 50 as well. That's a key level resistance in most cases, so it's a great sign. Anything under 70 and over 50 on the RSI on the 4 hour is perfect. I love it. I love to see that. MACD, of course, is still converging, so to speak, so all good there. So we really have all positive stuff on the 1 day and the 4 hour from Sandbox. Or at least mostly positive, right? Like 8 out of 10 if you're to check some boxes to as far as what's looking good. So I like that. I like that very much. Let's see where the Ishimoku cloud is at. Obviously, we're up over the cloud. I'm a little concerned with the lagging span getting closer to the price action, but we have basically 3 out of 3 indicators right now presently telling us we should keep our position open. Bear in mind, the price could continue to digress. So if the price continues to come down, then we'll see this lagging span intersect with the price action. That would be an indication you might want to consider trimming or selling your position. Again, depends on the kind of position you have. If you're a long HODL portfolio, don't worry about it. Add your position dollar cost average. But if you were day trading Sandbox and you got in right around $3, you might want to consider taking some profits. That's basically what it's telling us. Again, it's not a foolproof. It could continue to increase, but right now Bitcoin is on the retrace, right? And coincidentally, so is Sandbox. See, there's a correlation. 2 and 2 makes 4. Take a look here as well. We saw the same exact pattern with Bitcoin, only less exaggerated. Whereas we had a 9 on TD sequential from Bitcoin 3 hours ago. Coincidentally, we're right there at this point. We got a reset. So the likelihood of Sandbox coming down is higher than it is going up, right? Or if nothing else, sideways action consolidation. So we could very well see the price action go just straight to the side. That would be great. If it were to, then we'd be all set and good to go for another leg up. Okay, but if the price continues to slowly come down, we do have a potential support here at about 313. If it doesn't bounce, then we're in trouble. Okay, because we wouldn't be making higher highs and higher lows at that point. So just know that at this point in time, Sandbox is looking very decent on all fronts. We're just a bit on the overextended side in the 1 hour. So we get a period of consolidation and we're all set. If the price retraces, it should not retrace lower than 315 as a round number. And then, if we come below 315 for Sandbox, it might be a cause for concern because we'd effectively be losing that higher high and higher low pattern, and it would be potentially an issue. Okay, and that'll filter into the 4 hour on the 1 day chart eventually, right? So I would say at this point, depending on your type of overall hold position, I would just be cautious. I mean, obviously, we have no signal specifically to sell at this immediate time, but soon, if the price continues to digress, the cloud will tell us to close our position. And that to me is a more conservative indication if I'm a day trading, all right? If you're holding Sandbox for a short amount of time, try not to get greedy. It's not going to shoot to the moon today. Like, we got to understand that. It's not realistic for that to happen. It's a very big gamble. And the fact that we got this type of increase already today, I think it's almost 10%. Well, 20 if you got in, obviously, at $3 even. But, I think it's overall about an average of about 10% on the day. So is a 10% good today, or are you willing to hold for a 0% gain? I don't know. It's up to you, right? It just depends on, again, your consideration for the big picture. This is a HODL coin for you. Don't even worry about it. Consider adding to your position because it's still a good value. Anything in the $2.50 to $3 range for Sandbox, in my opinion, is great. I think that's good value. I think Sandbox and Gala will both take off this year, and we're going to see decent things from them. But is it going to happen right now? The likelihood of that's fairly low. Again, we just got to be realistic in the sense that most things are controlled by Bitcoin right now. And regardless of how awesome the fundamentals are for the coins, they're still having this issue of getting past, or free from Bitcoin, right? There's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market. Do you really think people are going to not sell their most profitable coins, which are the gaming coins? You got to remember that. Gaming coins are still profitable for most folks, and it'll be the first thing to go. That we're going to have a fire sale if Bitcoin loses its bottom. All right. We don't know that's going to happen, but the likelihood is fairly low. I think we'll bounce off 33 and continue upwards in the near future, but I think we're going to see a slow bleed from Bitcoin over the next week or two. All right. Anyways, check out my other videos if you're interested in understanding more about Bitcoin. I highly recommend that just in general, because again, that helps you know what's going on. Because today, I'm not surprised by this recovery because Sandbox broke a key level resistance and is essentially, it's primed and ready to take off. But we got to be real with ourselves in the fact that we got a key level resistance here at about 357, and that the likelihood of breaking that today is pretty low. We could still make higher highs and higher lows in the big picture. It's trending that way, but we still need to give it some time to figure that out. So hopefully that helps you make an informed decision. Thank you so much for joining me here. If you're not currently a community member, consider subscribing. First of the month would be recommended just based on the fact that we're rolling out with the website platform next month. I will have Trading Academy available in the membership section, and of course a lot of other resources eventually in time, but I've been spending a lot of time getting that ready to go for all of my current members to ensure we just get you up to speed. I mean, why not learn as much as you can when the industry is stuck on stupid, right? It's totally just ridiculous right now the way that Bitcoin is behaving, and a lot of other coins are stuck in that stupidity, right? So why not understand how to become a better trader? Just makes more sense to me. Anyways, hopefully you can find benefit. Thanks again so much. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.